All right. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Everybody doing okay? Happy Thursday. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So, tonight we are taking a look at the second section of the English portion. Last night, if you're just joining in, last night what we did was we did the test prep. So, we talked about the concepts, fundamentals. Awesome. Glad you're doing well. Um, And tonight we are going to take all of the topics we learned last night that we covered, and we're going to do some practice questions on them. Okay? So if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and get started. Just a little screenshot if you guys need some extra information, since I see some new people. If you are interested in any upcoming live webinars, make sure to check out this QR code or this link right here. This gives you the listings for all of our English, math, reading, and science webinars coming up. We have April's left. We have all of May's up. So go ahead, take a look. You can sign up for them so that you don't forget to join in. If you would like to rewatch any webinars, we've got the QR code for that. And then also make sure that after tonight's practice, now tonight we only have a short amount of time. We can only do so many questions per subsection. So, take what you learned. Tonight is a learning experience. If this is your first time doing practice questions, you know, this will really give you an idea of where you just need to go back in and hone in when you're doing some more test prep. So the Q Bank can help you there because this has well over 1,500 questions, and you can not only practice them, but if you get them wrong, you also receive a rationale that explains why the correct answer is correct, but it also breaks down why the other answer options are not correct. So why are they incorrect? So that way you can kind of look through the thought process behind the questions. With many of the questions, they also have additional study sheets. So for example, with the English and the reading, what I did was I included study tip sheets to help you best prepared to answer questions just like that one that you're working on. So make sure to check that out. Now, last night we did the test prep and we talked about most of the topics, but we did an overview. There is only so much we can cover in a short amount of time, but the on-demand videos allow you to hone in on specific areas that best fit your needs. So you can use the timestamps to go right to a section that you need to learn about instead of watching an hour-long video. If you are interested in tutoring, make sure to check out this QR code. We do have hour-long sessions, but we have just recently added 30-minute sessions, so that helps. Thanks for that feedback. I appreciate that. But with the tutoring, the 30-minute sessions are up. If you don't see a time that works for you, just email us at prenursing@Archer Review, and we will try to work our schedules as best we can to help you. We really try to customize what we can do and what we can open up in our schedules to best help the students. So make sure to check us out for tutoring. And then if you are interested in QBank and on-demand videos, the SurePass gives you a discount. So you can get both of those for a discounted price. And the SurePass Pro gives you a discount on the QBank and the on-demand videos. But it also gives you a discount on tutoring as well. So if it's something you've been wanting to try, but you're just a little hesitant about it, check out those discounts. Okay. So any questions about anything before we start on our actual questions? All right then. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in. So like we discussed last night, we are going to look at the second section of the English. This has 3 subsections. So 2.1, improving clarity in writing using grammar. 2.2, determining if language fulfills the needs of the audience. And 2.3, the well-organized paragraph. So we talked about the different key parts of a paragraph. All right. So 2.1, let's dive right into our practice questions. So what we'll do is I will let you read most of them. I try not to read to you because a lot of students don't like that and they can't process that way. So I'll let you read and then we will discuss the answers together. Okay? All right, so this first one up, here we go. We're diving right into the grammar. So take a look at this. I'm going to put 45 seconds on the timer just to give you some time since we're starting out, and then we will come back and check them. Okay? Ready? Set, go. All right, and if you are unfamiliar, you've never done this before, feel free to utilize the chat section. That's where I can kind of gauge and see how you're doing with your questions. All right, so our time is up. I see a couple people still typing, so go ahead and get those in. The correct answer is read the sentence below. Maria finishes her homework before she ate dinner. So which of the following grammar errors appear in the sentence? So the correct answer for this one is C, tense agreement. So if we go back and look at the sentence, Maria finishes. So remember the tip I told you last night. Okay, I always like to check my subjects and verbs. That's always my go-to, the things I'm going to sit there and look at. But use the answer options as kind of a guide. Sentence fragment. So is it a fragment? Ask yourself those as if they're yes or no questions. If you answer no, then that's not your answer. If you answer yes, then that's your correct answer. So use that. I don't know why, but here lately I've seen some students that are really hesitant to do process of elimination. There's nothing to be ashamed of to do that. I'm gonna tell you what, because for me as an anxious test taker, I often find that doing that allows me to ground myself. It gives me stability and makes me feel a little bit more anchored when I'm answering, and it makes me feel more confident in my answer selections because I know that I've ruled out the other ones. So maybe it's just the generation I grew up. I was the test taker generation, so we were taught to take the test. But I'm telling you, if you suffer from anxiety while you are testing, try that to see if that maybe helps alleviate some of that stress that you're putting on yourself, okay? But with this one, we see that tense agreement. When we look at the first verb, finishes, what tense is that in? Can anyone tell me? Good. It is. It's some present tense. So now, like I told you last night, whatever you start with, that's what you should carry through without or carry on through. So finishes. But then we get to the next verb, her homework before she ate. Ate. Now, what tense is ate? It is. It's the past tense. So we did not keep consistent verb tense. So this is a tense agreement error. So we want to make sure that it carries throughout. All right. Any questions on that? All righty. Let's take a look at this one. So I'm going to put 30 seconds on the timer for this one. All right, there's our time. Get your answers in. All right, let's take a look at the correct answer. So the sentence says, the teacher, along with her students, were excited for the field trip. So looking at these, the correct answer is B. It is a subject verb agreement error. So when you're looking at sentences like this, the subject is teacher, okay? And then the verb is were excited. So along with her students is a prepositional phrase. We're going to take that out. And the commas right here show us that it's being offset from the rest of the sentence. So we want to make sure that we are removing that and not counting it as part of our subject. So our subject is teacher and our verb is were. So teacher is singular, were is plural. Okay. Any questions on that one? So someone said they were a little confused on this one and thought maybe it was a sentence fragment. So the teacher, along with her students, were excited for the field trip. So remember, with a fragment, that means it's going to be missing either the subject or the verb or the complete thought. So this one has a subject, teacher. It has a verb, were, and it does express a complete thought. So the correct way to write this, someone else just asked me, the teacher, along with her students, was excited for the field trip. It sounds awkward because along with her students, it makes us think that it's supposed to be plural. But remember, those commas right there mean it's a parenthetical. Um, sorry, I'm reading comments. Yes, was a singular. So along with her students should be removed. So you would read it as, would you say the teacher were excited? You say the teacher was excited. But because of students being there, many times people will think, oh, well, then it's supposed to be plural, so this is fine. But unfortunately, because of it's that um, prepositional phrase and it's a parenthetical expression, we just simply take it out. So the teacher was excited for the field trip. Right, because teacher is not plural, teacher is singular. Right. So we don't include students. Yeah. And I tell you, prepositional phrases. So if you've not practiced diagramming sentences, being able to find nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and prepositional phrases, I strongly recommend. I'm a big advocate that being able to diagram your sentences helps you prepare for questions like this. Why? Because one, it helps you make sure that you can locate things, and two, the more you practice with it, it will actually increase your speed for being able to answer questions like this because it almost becomes second nature to find, okay, subject, verb, prepositional phrases. You can quickly just kind of identify things and eliminate what you don't need to include in your sentences. Okay. So that one would be a subject verb agreement because as it stands, teacher is singular, were is plural, and we can't have those because they don't match. All right. Any other questions? Good questions. And I would say prepositional phrases are going to be the bane of your existence. So you have to at least acknowledge them and go ahead and practice with them because if you can find a prepositional phrase, you know to mark that thing out. Okay. Almost every question that I ever see on these tests, if there's a prepositional phrase, because um it's in there because it's trying to throw you off. All right. So student is plural. Yes, student is plural. But and then someone else just asked me, yes, you need to take out the prepositional phrases. If you are trying to determine if a subject and a verb agree with each other, you need to take out the prepositional phrases. Why? Because your subjects will not ever, never ever be inside of a prepositional phrase. So with this one, along with her students being a prepositional phrase, and it's also a parenthetical expression, that means that it's supposed to be removed from the sentence. It's not supposed to count. Okay. It's just there for extra details. It's not actually contributing to the structure of the sentence. Think of it like that. So, teacher is singular, And even though students is plural, it's not counted as part of the subject. Students is not counted as part of the subject. The only subject you have in this sentence is the word teacher. Got it. Awesome. Yes. But again, I cannot say this enough. Prepositional phrases, they are your enemy. Take them out of your sentences. Okay? And it's so funny I say that because when I was in sixth grade and we had grammar class, prepositional phrases were, as I said, the bane of my existence. I used to hate them because they can be quite difficult to find um sometimes, and I hated them with a strong passion, but yet now here I am, and I am telling people how important it is to find them because you need to remove them. Yep. Somebody asked, what does redundancy mean? So redundancy means, what's the best way to put that? Um, so if something's redundant, it's almost as if it is unnecessary. It's not useful. All right, so let's take a look at this one. Okay, I'm gonna put 30 seconds on the timer. Go ahead and start. All right, there's our time. Go ahead and get your answers. All right, everybody ready? Let's see what you did, how you did. So for this one, this is a run-on sentence. So she barely studied for the test. Nevertheless, she did well. This actually looks like a compound sentence because we have two independent clauses. She barely studied for the test. She did well. Okay. So two independent clauses, and they're being combined or connected by a I'm not, nope, it's a conjunctive adverb, nevertheless. However, when you have them like this, you need to put a semicolon after test to properly punctuate it. By not putting a semicolon there, what you've done is you've just ran two independent clauses together and not properly punctuated them, which constitutes as a run-on sentence here. Mm. So it wouldn't be a fragment because she barely studied for the test. That's a complete thought. She did well. That's a second complete thought. So we've got two complete thoughts, but then you have to ask yourself, are they being joined together correctly? Right. I see a couple people put C, incorrect parallel structure. That's interesting. So remember with parallel structure, that's if you're mainly it applies to listing things. So if you say, I like swimming, reading, and to hike, that's not parallel the way you're listing them. So you would say, I like swimming, reading, and hiking. So that's what we're looking for there. And that can be the same thing with phrases and stuff, but all right. Any questions? Alrighty. Let's take a look at this one. I'm gonna put 25 seconds on the timer just to see how we're doing with it. Ready? And go. Oh, you're welcome. All right, there's our timer. Go ahead and get your answers in. All right. So for this one, now this you have to kind of think of everything that we've talked about in this section and keep that in your back pocket. So the correct answer is C. Neither of the books is available at the local library. Now, many students would think this one's wrong because it has a subject verb agreement error. They would think neither of the books, so they would see books and think, oh, well, that's my subject and that's plural, but is singular, so they don't match, so that's not correct. But what did I just tell you about prepositional phrases? You gotta take those pesky little things out. So if you take of the books out of the sentence, you're left with neither is available at the local library, and neither is singular because you're talking about them individually. Okay, so neither is available. So that one's grammatically correct. Now with A, let's go back through the other answer options just so you can kind of see what the thought process is there. Okay, so A, the team of researchers were excited about their new discovery. Again, what did I tell you? Take those prepositional phrases out. You thought I was being sarcastic. You thought I wasn't being serious. Nope, as a heart attack, am I serious? Take those things away. Take them away. Okay, fare thee well, Felicia, fare thee well, as the older generation would say. So the team of researchers is a prepositional phrase. Your subject is not researchers. It is team, and team is singular. Were is our verb. It is plural. So you have a singular subject with a plural verb. Try again. So that one's not correct. B, she drives real careful when it's raining outside. Now, if you are from around where I'm from, in the deep south, where we talk like this, that's a common way people would say it. But I hate to break it to them, it's actually incorrect. Okay. Now, if I'm in the throes of really talking and gossiping with someone, this is probably going to slip out of my mouth too. But for grammatical purposes, I'm not being grammatically correct. So, she drives really careful, or no, actually, it should be she drives really carefully when it's raining outside because drives is my verb. How does she drive? She drives carefully. We need an adverb there. Careful is an adjective. Carefully, with the ly on the end, is the adverb form. And then how carefully does she drive? She drives really carefully. So that one needs to be the adverb as well, since it's describing another adverb. So this one would be incorrect because it has incorrect word usage. They have adjectives when you really should have adverbs. And then with D, the committee members debates the new policy every Monday. Now, can anyone tell me what's the subject of that sentence? Can anybody tell me what the subject of D is? Nope, it's actually not going to be committee. It's going to be members. Committee, it looks like a noun, it looks like the subject, but in this sentence, it's actually the adjective. It's describing what members? The committee members. So committee's not actually our subject, members is. So if you thought committee was the subject, I do understand why you think this one was correct, because you saw committee and thought, that's my subject, that's singular. And then debates, that's my verb, it's singular. And so it looks like you've got singular with singular, but they threw in that and made committee an adjective instead. It's not actually the subject, it's an adjective describing the members. Members is plural, debates is singular. So that one you have a subject verb agreement error. Yep. And now you know. So don't beat yourself up over it. You probably did not realize that that's how that works out. So don't beat yourself up over it. Oh no, the correct answer is C. Did I say B? If I did, I'm so sorry. I might be hallucinating. Lack of sleep. All right. So any other questions now that we've talked through those answer options? Take a swig of my Gatorade. Ooh, ooh, it's watermelon flavor, everyone. I don't know about y'all, but that's like one of the nastiest flavors of Gatorade to me. But it's all I had. So either is like neither. Yes. Either and neither are singular. Oh, yes, I did ask for the yeah. All right. Any other questions? Hmm. I see on YouTube y'all are talking about a study group. Don't forget that's something you can also do with TEAS as well. I mean, not with TEAS. That's something you can also do with Archer tutoring as well. All right. If there are no other questions on that one, let's try this one. I'm going to put 25 seconds on the timer. Ready, steady. That one's for you. Go. All right. Our timer is up. Which of the following is grammatically correct? Drum roll, please. The answer is C. Let's talk through those just like the other ones, just so you know the thought process. So with A, the bouquet of flowers make the room. See, I can't even say it incorrectly, people. Hello. The bouquet of flowers make the room look beautiful. What is the subject of that sentence? Can you tell me? What's the subject of A? Instagram. You're so funny. What are the correct answers for A and B? That's what we're going to go through. All right, so somebody just told me flowers. That second person told me flowers. That's why you missed it, I bet. Oh, I see the problem. Okay, okay. Again, y'all are underestimating these prepositional phrases. In that first sentence, the bouquet of flowers, bouquet is your subject. Of flowers is a what? It is a prepositional phrase. What did I tell you to do with that thing? Throw it away. Get it out of there. Because you see what it's doing? It's confusing you. You think flowers is your subject and it's plural. So then you think make is your verb, which is plural. So then you think, oh, well, they match. So that's right. And that's probably why you put A, because you thought flowers was the subject. So I'm here to tell you now we know we have diagnosed, future nurses, we have diagnosed what your problem is. You need to practice diagramming sentences and pay particular attention to finding prepositional phrases. Okay? I have just figured it out for you. You're welcome. That'll be a $50 copay. No, I'm just kidding. So, flowers is not our subject. Bouquet is our subject. Of flowers is a prepositional phrase. What I typically will do is I will take you know how sometimes if you're doing the digital one, it'll allow you to like mark and stuff on it. So I always just take it and I mark through that prepositional phrase. So I'm left with the bouquet, make the room look beautiful. Well, that just sounds incredibly awkward, doesn't it? Yep. So the bouquet of flowers makes the room look beautiful because it's the bouquet makes the room look beautiful. So that's our issue with A. That's why it's not grammatically correct. With B, he performed good on the final exam. Mm, well, Well. Well is what you should use instead of good because you're using this, whatever you're putting, where'd my mouse go? There it is. Whatever you're putting here is describing how they performed. When you are looking at how to use good versus well, good is an adjective. So you would say, oh, he is a good student because it's describing a noun. But if you're describing the verb, which is performed here, then you would have to use well. He performed well on the final exam. Okay. Now with C, the students, plural, who completed the project, that is a dependent clause inside of it. So we actually just take that one out too. So we mark through who completed the project. So you're left with the students receive extra credit. Well, that sentence is grammatically sound. Got a plural subject with a plural verb. Every one of the athletes are required to attend practice. Okay, yes, well is an adverb. That's correct. Now, tell me what is the subject of D. What is the subject of D? It is. It's everyone. Of the athletes is a what? It is a prepositional phrase. So every one, that would be singular, are is plural. You can't have singular every one with are plural. So that's what makes that one grammatically incorrect. Yes, of the athletes is a prepositional phrase. So athletes is not our subject because it's inside of a prepositional phrase. All right. Any other questions on that one? Yes, Instagram. I'm telling you, I think y'all really, yes, goodness is right. You probably thought I was really just being over dramatic, and I can be sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not when it comes to prepositional phrases. You got to learn to find those things and throw them away. Get them out of there. They're just meant to confuse you and try to trip you up. I swear that's the only reason why sentences are written like that. So make sure to check that out. And again, so if this is where you're starting to see a pattern like you've just missed these last two, it's probably because of the prepositional phrases. Practice, practice, practice finding them, marking them out. Do not pay them any attention. Okay. Any other questions on that one? So, how do you know what is a prepositional phrase? That is an excellent question. So, a prepositional phrase is going to obviously start with a preposition, hence the name. So, it's going to start with a preposition. Then you're going to carry it through. So, of is a preposition, through until you get to the noun that follows it. Once you do, that's the object of the prepositional phrase. That's the end of the prepositional phrase. So, of the next noun we get to is flowers. So, of flowers. With D, of the athletes, of is our preposition, and then it goes through athletes because that's the next noun present. So, of the athletes. Now, if you struggle with knowing what's a preposition versus what's not, a key trick that I will tell students is to think, can an airplane do whatever that is, whatever that word is, to a cloud? So, of is not a pretty one, but just always know that of is always going to be a preposition. Okay. But if I were to say in, right? Um, can I fly a plane in a cloud? Yes, technically I can. Can a plane go below a cloud? Yeah. So below would be a preposition. Can it go under a cloud? Yes. Can it go through the cloud? Yes. So majority of the time, if a plane can do whatever it is, that word is, to a cloud, then it's serving as a prepositional phrase. Does that help? Yeah, that's a good way to think. Preposition, think position. So a phrase, someone asked me, what's the difference between a phrase and a clause? A phrase is just a group of words, okay? A clause has to have a subject and it has to have a verb. may or may not have a complete thought to it. All right, let's take a look at this one. Tell me which of the following is grammatically correct. All right, go ahead and read through that. Take 25 seconds and answer your questions. Or answer the question. All right, take a few more seconds. Finish up. All right, the correct answer for this one is C. Anyone who wants to join the club is welcome to sign up. Our subject is anyone. Is the verb, so they match singular with singular, so that would be fine. Now with A, the professor along with her students are presenting at the conference. This is very similar to the other question that we had. The professor is your subject, along with her students is a prepositional phrase, so we just take it out. So the professor are presenting? No, I would say the professor is presenting because singular needs singular. She sings beautiful in the school choir. So this one, beautiful, is describing the verb sings. Okay. So since it's describing a verb, it needs to be in the adverb form. She sings beautifully in the school choir. Now with D, the group of musicians were excited about their performance. What is the subject of D? It is. It's group, not musicians. So the group were excited? No, it would be the group was excited. All right. Any other questions? All right. So now that we've done a couple of those, do you find that the prepositional phrases are the ones giving you the most problem? Yeah. Okay. So take that, and I strongly encourage you to practice breaking down sentences and finding prepositional phrases. Will the subject always be in front of the preposition? Yes, typically, but not always. Sometimes a prepositional phrasal will come at the very beginning of a sentence. I feel like I'm going to have a problem with it. Then you've already taken the hardest step. You found what the problem is. Now we're going to practice, and we're going to practice identifying prepositional phrases to help you get better and feel more confident with that. All right. And D, yes, D has a prepositional phrase of musicians. Okay. Any other questions? Great questions. All right, now with section 2, we got to keep rolling. We got about 20 minutes left. So with section 2, determine if the language fulfills the needs of an audience. Okay, now these, you really have to think about what's being said. Okay, all right, so take a look at this sentence and tell me which publication would that one be found in. All right, and put 30 seconds on timer. Ready, set, and go. All right, there's our timer. Which of the following? This one would be B, a motivational speech. Success is not determined by how many times you fall, but by how many times you get back up. So this is encouraging. Good. All right, let's take a look at this one. I'm going to put 20 seconds on the timer, see how you do with that. Ready? And go. All right, a few more seconds. Okay. The correct answer is, let go out. The There we go. Sorry. It is a business magazine. Good. Everyone seems to be doing pretty well with these. Here's another one. Take a few seconds and look at that one. Oh, somebody has a question. No. All right, there's our timer. All right, so our correct answer is B, a science journal. In an experiment conducted last year, so there's the science part of it. What would be in a personal blog? So a personal blog would be, sharing cooking tips, or I'm trying to think about like the social media influencers, home decor tips, everyday lifestyle, events that happen in a life. Kind of think about like Facebook. What would you put on Facebook? Okay. Does that help? Any other questions? That's a good question. All right. Well, that's what that section looks like. Now, with the last section, establish a well-organized paragraph. We're going to take those parts of the paragraph that we talked about and think about the order that things should go in. All right. And remember, we talked about transitions, things like that. So take a look at this one. Is TikTok also a personal blog? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. So like the daily ASMR, that would be considered personal blog, kind of. All right. Take about 30 seconds and do this practice one. Ready, go. All right. And B, including its transition order or not. No, not really. Well, yes, it is. It's an example. All right. Our timer's up. Let's look at it. So, which of the following examples would most likely act as a transition sentence? So, one that would be used to bridge the gap between ideas. So, this one is C. Additionally, so it starts with that transition word. Developing healthy sleep habits, such as maintaining a consistent bedtime and reducing screen time, can before bed can help improve sleep quality and overall health. So that one would be C. Good. Any other questions? All right, let's take a look at this one. What would you think about this one? All right, I see the answers coming in. Go ahead and get your answers. All right, the correct answer would be B. Moreover, incorporating regular physical activity into daily routines. So, moreover is that transition that's moving us from one idea to the next. Good. Moreover would be the transition word. All right, let's try this one. I think this might be the last one of these. A misplaced modifier. That's a great question. So, a misplaced modifier is when you have a description and it's being placed in the inappropriate section of the sentence, so it's not connected to whatever it's describing. So, if you say, I chased the paper, um, that's not a good one. Trying to think. But I mean, pretty much it's whenever you have like a prepositional phrase or a clause and you put it in the incorrect place in the sentence, and it really should go next to whatever it's describing. All right. Well, let's take a look. Couple of different answers. This one was B. As concerns about climate change continue to grow, many governments and businesses are investing in clean energy solutions to create a more sustainable future. So, as concerns continue to grow, um, oh, B, yeah, the as concerns, that part's transitioning. Yeah, I can do modifiers in another log class. So would be as concerns continue to grow, it's a split transition, but it's technically the transition. Why not C? So fossil fuels, including coal and natural gas, have been primary sources of energy for decades, but their environmental impact has raised concerns about long-term sustainability. So this one's not moving us from one idea into the next, whereas as concerns grow, so we're moving into talking. This is that first part shows how we're moving into talking more about it. Oop, hold on. I gotta move my screen. Uh-oh. Hold on. I think Instagram went inactive. Sometimes if I'm not over there on that page, it'll make it go away. Hold on. Yep. There we go. Let's see what's back. Give it a second. It's probably got to connect it. No, it's not you. It's Instagram. I don't know why it does that. Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, they don't do that. If I'm not clicking on that one, it's like it just goes away if I'm not. I really don't know. I have not yet figured that out. I need Brandon Craft to figure that out for me. He's my tech guru. Is as a transitional word. Well, as it by itself is not a transitional word. It's more that phrase at the beginning that's constituting as moving into a different idea or a broader idea. But means contrast. Yes, it can. Like in opposite. Any other questions? Instagram, are you guys okay now? Instagram, you guys okay? All right, any other questions on that one? All right, let's do this one. This one, you have to put things in order. All right, I'm gonna set my timer for 20 seconds. Let's see how you do. All right, our time is up. The correct answer is A. Good. Awesome. Any questions on that one? Looks like everybody did pretty well with that. All right, let's look at the next one. Try this one. All right, go ahead and get your answers in. So it's not always going to be mentioned as far as time. All right, so for this one, the correct answer is A again. 4213. First, the student brainstormed ideas for their essay. They conducted research to gather reliable sources. The student revised their draft, making improvements based on feedback. Finally, they submitted their final paper before the deadline. So, chronological sequence, it has to be done time order wise in that order. All right, any other questions? All right, let's take a, oh, that's it. All righty. Well, that's the end of tonight. Thank you guys for joining in. I will tell you, if going back to that first section, if you need practice with those, definitely hit up QBank because I made sure that when I was writing those questions that I threw in a lot of those challenging ones that focus on prepositional phrase. So you would have practice with what you would see on the real test. Okay. You're so welcome. All right. Well, you guys, I hope you have a great holiday weekend if you're celebrating the holiday. If not, I hope you just have a great weekend in general. Need more practice on the first part. Definitely check out that QBank. Also, if you are interested in tutoring, I do that a lot. I will sit down and we will just do consistent practice going through those questions until you feel comfortable. So check that out if tutoring's something that, fits in your schedule and you're interested in it. Like I said, I am doing a practice test with somebody tomorrow. All right. Well, you guys have a great weekend. I'll be back next week. Next week I'll be back at the end of the week. Um, so same time, different day, but same place. So join in. Can you just purchase tutoring? You sure can. You can go to our page and you can just select tutoring and it'll show you our calendars. Mm-hmm. Yep, you can book it by the individual sessions. And I think there's a discount if you wanted to do multiple sessions as well. And then you can also bundle it with the Q Bank and the on demand if you wanted to bundle it too. But you can purchase it separately. I do know that. What section was the first part? So the first part was E2.1, the clarity in writing. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, make sure to check us out on socials. You have a good night as well. Oh, here's the tutoring QR code if you wanted to look at that. And there's feedback if anybody wants to throw that one in there. All right. Well, you guys have a great night, and I'll see you next week.